What's up, everybody? Neil here. Welcome back to the channel. Obviously, things are moving much faster than they were just 2 weeks ago. You have Sama and Jensen talking about a $100 billion data center that they're working on. And then you have the Sam Altman and Larry Ellison partner, which is $300 billion. And then you have OpenAI announcing 5 new Stargate data centers, which is equate to about like $1 trillion in capex for AI infrastructure by 2030. And then Sam Altman continues to say that their goal is to create a factory where the machines are building the machines, which are building the machines that are the factory should produce a gigawatt of AI infrastructure per week. That is the goal. So yeah, I would say it's been a pretty big week as far as the news goes. Things are accelerating pretty quickly. And then Elon, of course, he said they already had the first 1 gigawatt. They already had the first 1 gigawatt data center. They're going to have the first 10 gigawatt data center online, and the first 100 gigawatt data center, and the first terawatt data center online. So, I mean, Larry Ellison also said he's willing to bankrupt Google building out AI infrastructure. If that's what it takes, he's going to do it, because if he doesn't win, he's going to be bankrupt anyways. Mark Zuckerberg also said in an interview he's willing to overspend by hundreds of billions of dollars in AI infrastructure, and he doesn't care, because if he doesn't win, he's also going to go bankrupt. So it seems like I said in my previous video, we're going to see about like $3 to $5 trillion by 2030 in AI infrastructure. And yeah, it seems like that's like the default trajectory, to be honest, just because all of these forcing functions in basically the forcing functions are too strong. The conditions are just forcing it. It's kind of insane to really think about, especially if you look at how Donald Trump is making us really competitive with China, and we're basically turning America into an AI gigafactory right now. Things are not slowing down. So in this video, I wanted to take the time to talk about what should we be doing? What are the business models that we should be approaching? What are the actions that we should be taking in order to make sure we're in very good positions in the future? Because that's really all this is coming down to at this point. Is a lot of jobs are going to be replaced. A lot of jobs just aren't going to be existing anymore. There will be some jobs that change, of course. But I think a lot of people are going to be forced to be entrepreneurial, because there's not going to be many jobs out there. If you look at what's happening right now with the kids coming out of college, whenever they're coming out of college, there's not any beginner like starting jobs right now where people are hiring. The labor market is pretty shit that way, where the people coming out of college can't really find good work. And I think that's going to start to happen more and more and more and more. And next thing you know, anybody who's trying to leave a job won't be able to. And then they will eventually start getting laid off. If you look at what Microsoft and some other companies have said, they're going to be moving to 3-day work weeks because of AI. So it seems like a lot of these jobs are going to be displaced, because we're at the very beginning of AI, and these things are already happening. The compute cluster for GPT-5 was literally microscopic compared to what is going to be happening next year and the year after. These things are going to be changing drastically. So you can't really comprehend these things until you really put things in their perspective and realize that the GPUs that we're running on today are like 1,000th of the scale that they're going to be. And by the way, we're still training on the old school Hopper GPUs. None of the frontier models that exist today have been trained on a Blackwell GPU yet. Grok 5 will be the first model to have access to Blackwell GPUs. So I expect it to be relatively good. So that being said, I just kind of wanted to put everything into perspective, give you a frame to view the situation from, and realize where we actually are right now. Now, if we take an even narrower approach, we can see a trend that is happening steadily. Right now, we are seeing just-in-time software. We're at the cusp of it. Arguably, we're already there in some cases, where if you have a problem or you need to automate something, you can build that software literally as you approach the problem. Like you identify the problem, you go to Codex, say, here's my problem, I need to solve these things with these constraints, build it. And it builds it, and then you can now automate that task. That's pretty much already here. In some cases, like, you have to prompt it a few times, of course. But for the most part, just-in-time software is basically here, and I think it's going to be improving, obviously, a lot. Next will be just-in-time services, where it's kind of a similar thing, but instead of going towards the AI model to build any software to automate any problem, you're kind of like just going to a SaaS application that solves that problem. A good example is OpenAI. They announced they're going to be releasing some very computationally expensive models over these coming weeks. There was somebody who leaked one of those models, and the model is a model that can process videos to an extremely accurate degree. So you can imagine some just-in-time services that can come from that. The first one that comes to my mind is video editing. If you have a large language model that's already really good at detecting things in images and editing those images, if you look at like Nano Banana, the spatial awareness and the intelligence whenever editing images is absolutely insane. If you have that intelligence, that spatial intelligence, and a large language model that can process videos, that thing's going to be able to edit videos easily. Now you can imagine a system where you have this large language model, it's calling these tools to edit the videos, and then it can call Nano Banana, it can call VO3, and create some pretty interesting animations in the videos as well. So now you have something that is creating animations in the video, editing the video, chopping out where you messed up if you're talking like this. It's a full editing software. That's basically going to be here. And like, if that leak is misrepresenting what's actually coming, okay, cool. It'll be here by the end of the year anyways, or by early next year at latest. So, but I'm willing to bet that's actually pretty accurate for what's going to be coming from what the leak said. So that's very interesting. That's an example of just-in-time service. Instead of hiring a person, like whenever I had my previous business, I would hire a video editor for like $1,200 per month. Now it can be $20 per month. Maybe it'll be a little bit more, but it's still a huge difference. It's like absolutely crazy. So just-in-time software, just-in-time services, and then there'll be like just-in-time physical world services with humanoid robots and other types of robots. And then there will be organizational AI, which we're already kind of close to the organizational AI one. We're getting close right now. If you look at the paper that came out that was comparing large language models with venture capitalists, large language models were actually outperforming venture capitalists a lot of the time. Now, I will say 99% of venture capitalists are dog shit. Let's be honest, they're not very good. But the fact that large language models are even doing better than them is pretty impressive to me. So I didn't expect large language models to be there at this point, to be honest with you. I thought that would be something that we have alpha on for at least a little bit, because large language models, from my previous conception, were really good at short-term static systems or long-term static systems or short-term dynamic systems, not long-term dynamic systems. Previously, they weren't very good at that until GPT-5 came out. GPT-5 and Grok 4 Heavy, especially, are the first models that are good at long-term dynamic systems. They're pretty good at predicting the future, those sorts of things. They're not just like a self-driving car where it's predicting the next short-term thing in a very confined space. It's predicting long-term dynamic systems. So I didn't expect that to happen so soon. It's already happening, which tells me that organizational AI isn't as far as we would think. So that covers just-in-time software, just-in-time services, just-in-time physical world services, and then kind of like the organizational AI aspect. Now, I will say, for just-in-time software, there is some nuance, because let's take the ordinary consumer. 99% of people are not going to be building their software just in time to solve like their daily life things. Maybe we'll get there one day where the adoption curve of this technology is kind of there, and then people are just kind of like building things on the fly because it's just like so intuitive. That might actually happen, but what I'm personally seeing, and this could turn out wrong, is consumer software, kind of like my grandma who goes on Facebook and buys like little trinkets off of these terrible scammy Facebook ads. She's not going to be building just-in-time software. Who will be building just-in-time software is entrepreneurs, small businesses, people who are like solopreneurs, right? They will be building just-in-time software. The ordinary consumer, probably not, until it's just kind of like happening by a byproduct of them just prompting ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT is like, oh, why don't we just build some just-in-time software for this, and then it solves it. That could happen, but for a while, I don't think consumers are going to be building their own software. So I think consumer SaaS still has a little bit of a moat for a short period of time. The middle scale SaaS, you might as well call it cooked, to be honest with you. You might as well call like the mesoscale SaaS cooked. And then the large scale enterprise SaaS that goes extremely deep, I think that stuff is going to last for a little bit. It's going to last for longer than obviously the mesoscale SaaS. But over time, that large scale SaaS that goes extremely deep, or I guess you could call it enterprise software, that'll be eaten slowly and slowly over time, and eventually you'll just kind of be like just-in-time enterprise software. And if you really look at it, the current approach to software, the current approach to devices, the current approach to so many of these different things is very outdated. Building a software application and the legacy way with the legacy systems and the legacy paradigm, that's dead. Like, I think it's already dead, just nobody knows it yet. I think Elon Musk and his idea for macro hard is absolutely correct, and I've made this prediction a year ago, where basically you're going to have edge compute devices, and they're basically just purely powered by AI. The operating system is a neural net, basically. And you might have like a little bit of Python, a little bit of code, just connecting some things. But mainly, it's just kind of like a big neural net. It's eating more. The neural net's just going to be eating more and more and more of software. And somebody who says, oh, LLMs are trash, will say, well, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a world model similar to Genie 3, where Genie 3 is, right now, it's modeling like physical reality. Who says it can't model literally any arbitrary possible configuration of a UI that you could possibly imagine? And then all you really need is a storage system from there. Like, that seems completely obvious to me. These world models are going to be able to model any possible UI you could possibly imagine. And then you're just going to have a storage system. And then the user isn't going to need to code to create a UI. They're going to generate the fucking UI with the whatever model like the Genie 3 model uses, right? That's going to be the way operating systems work. And everything else is just kind of like the LLM retrieving things from the storage, from the knowledge, from the memory, all of those different things. And then you'll have memory across devices, across platforms. So things are going to be changing a lot if you really play out your imagination with that one. It's going to be just-in-time software and just-in-time services within these like world models, which some people are going to argue that's really far away. I would say it's by 2030 we'll definitely have that. I'd be very surprised, given all of the compute build-outs, that by 2030 we don't have that. I'd be extremely surprised. By 2028 we might have that. So that's coming very fast. Like the pipeline, the acceleration is accelerating. We're genuinely going to experience probably 25 years worth of change from now in 2030. And then from 2030 to 25, probably 75 years worth of change. That's the exponential we're on right now. So things are moving very fast. Keep that frame in mind. One thing I also want to mention is if you do want to build software, I would recommend building on like augmented reality glasses, VR, because that's going to be where the world models are happening. I don't know if you saw Meta Connect 2025. They recently showcased the virtual reality AI models. Instead of using these giant video game engines to build the world, you just fucking prompt the world into existence around you. This is something that already exists within VR. It was just announced like a week ago, where you're wearing your VR headset, you say, oh, I don't like this landscape, I want to go to Mars. You prompt, take me to Mars, and literally Mars appears around you. That already exists. So yeah, things are accelerating. Pretty easy to say. I mean, by 2030, that's going to be insane. It's going to be insane by 2030. Let's play it out 1 year. Still going to be insane. 1 year from now, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. If we looked at the image generation models from just a year ago, the video generation models from just a year ago, and compared them with the models today, you would be like, what the fuck? Right? So that's kind of where we are, is like next year, the world models are going to be like, what the fuck? And the year after that, it's going to be even more what the fuck. And by 2030, they're going to be physics simulators, where you almost have a one-to-one model of Newtonian mechanics and thermodynamics within these simulators of physics. And then at that point, you're basically playing Factorio in real life, or Minecraft in real life, whatever game in real life. So that's kind of where I see things going. So here, I'm going to kind of share what I'm doing. With software, again, I mentioned you can either build consumer SaaS or enterprise SaaS. Those are going to be the things that are kind of alive for a little bit, because the mesoscale is dying. What you can also do is not just consumer SaaS or enterprise SaaS, but you can do hardware augmented software. So if you have a hardware product, or you have some type of hardware infrastructure, or some type of robotics, if you have software that augments the hardware, that'll be software that is viable, because you're now using it in conjunction with this capital asset. Right. So I see that definitely lasting for quite a while. I think that's going to be a pretty good place to build, actually. That's where I'm building personally. And then other than that, again, VR, AR, build on there. I was thinking about getting the new Meta Ray-Bans that have the HUD display, because you can build on those. There's literally a place where developers can build on them, and then you just build like little HUD displays on there, and then you can literally make, I don't know, something. And it'll be cool. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, get into hardware, build a community. Community, I obviously extremely bullish on community. I'm building a community. I think it's a good idea if you do join my community, because then we can have more conversations and have these insights shared with you if you want them. Obviously not trying to like oversell, but it's pretty viable in there. No, but on a serious note, yeah, these things are. It's just funny for me to watch people build things right now, because it's like you have no idea what's happening. Even the people that are like on YouTube selling AI stuff, they're like, "Oh, we're selling the shovels." No, you're not. The shovels are just now being made. You are not selling the shovels, my guy. Like all of the people saying, "Oh, I'll build an AI automation agency, learn NAN." You're not selling the shovels. The shovels are just now being made. But yeah. That being said, again, if this was insightful or valuable, like, comment, subscribe. If you would like to have more insights, genuinely, I think my community is a good place to join. It's super cheap. I make it super cheap intentionally, so it's not like ridiculous for people to join. You can join for literally only $7 per month, and I do that so people can have actual insights. My goal in this channel and my goal of the community is to help people adapt with this technology in the most seamless way possible. I would literally make the community free if I could, but I mean, I gotta like live and eat and do stuff, so it is $7 per month. Yeah, I recommend to join. It's super valuable. We have calls literally every single week about these topics, and I would love to break this stuff down with you if it is something you're interested in. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and hop off now. I will see you guys in the next video.